16.
This is Penn Sunday School, and to our listening ears, all nature sings and round us rings the music of the spheres.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Penn Sunday School, starring Penn Gillette. My name is Michael Godot. Matt Donnelly, Penn and I are broadcasting from Show Creator Studios South here in Las Vegas. On today's show, we've got special guests Piff, the Magic Dragon, and Handsome Jack. And we're going to talk about the new Penn Teller Masterclass. Penn and Teller teach the art of magic. Here he is preaching love, Mr. Penn Gillette.
Preaching love, here I am. You know, I liked Masterclass.
You're just going to skip over the fact that you've been banging on the drums for the whole intro?
I didn't bang on them much. I just did a few little rim shots, one little cymbal hit, little splash.
We have a new
thing.
prop in the studio. I think people might have guessed.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to my breasts.
Hang on, guys. Hang on. I'm up to 3,964 on Piffle.
What's that?
It's funny you should ask. It's this game for the iPhone. Look, and you're like a little man in a cat outfit.
Uh-huh.
And then you throw these tiny cats at these blocks, and then when you hit them, they blow up. And I'm basically wondering whether I'm going to win the libel suit that I'm going to find. It's literally me in a cat outfit throwing tiny cats instead of dogs, and it's called Piffle.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a rip-off of you.
Not a libel, is it? It's a what do you call the copy suits?
It would be
Copyright infringement.
Copyright infringement. If only I had the copyright. What else can we call it?
I think it's funny that you saw that, and rather than experience outrage, you just started playing it all the time.
Yeah, I'm really good at it. Even though I just failed and have to wait 16 minutes now for another heart. So
Good.
We've got a window. We've got a window, guys. All right, let's go.
So a while ago, I saw these master classes that all these guys were doing, and they seemed really good. I watched a couple of them and liked them. So I started sniffing and asked Glenn if they might want us to do a master class. And I met with them at a very fancy, swanky L.A. hotel.
What was the hotel?
The hotel was the Sunset Marquis.
Oh, I want to stay there.
That's where I always stay. And I went there and I met with them, and I liked them. I really liked the masterclass people, and they also seemed to kind of know what they were doing, which I see that to somebody that like lives in the regular world.
Right.
You say I met someone in their business and they knew what they were doing. It's like, well, that's everybody, right? You go to your dry cleaner, but when you have meetings in Hollywood, you often have meetings with people who don't seem to know what their job is, what they're supposed to be doing. And there's no joke in this. It's not an exaggeration. That's just true. They just know. And if you ask them, do you know what you're doing?
They can't even use a phone. They have to get their assistants to call people.
So I liked them. And I liked their theory of how they put stuff together. So we started doing this master, which incidentally, they were secretive about. I wanted to talk about it on Sunday school the whole time we were doing it. They were going, no. We'll have the actual release and you'll be able to talk about it all you want. I don't know why people do that. I don't know why they think that keeping something secret ahead of time is helpful.
That's boosting sales to not tell anyone.
But I guess Apple has been very successful, and that's what they do.
Do they chart, maybe? Like, do master classes chart? Because if they chart, then you want people to buy it at the same time.
Well, they couldn't buy it before the time anyway. I guess they're afraid if you talk about it ahead of time, you won't be interested when it comes out.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly what happened with all the Marvel stuff. By the time Endgame came out, they had lost all interest.
Yeah, no
in
interest.
That.
Yeah.
No one cared at all.
I'm going to go and see that after this, by the way.
Directly?
Directly after it.
Yeah, it's kind of nothing. It's good. It's all right.
You know what? The thing is, there were like 19 of these things.
22.
I feel like I have no idea what happened. I can't remember any of it. I've got a terrible memory at the best of times, and so I'm going to go into this thing.
I've been told that you saw the last one, yes?
Yeah.
As long as you remember the last one, I think you're fine for this one.
But the thing is, you don't remember the last one because there's nothing that really happens. They're chasing little jewels around the universe.
Yeah.
A little Jules I picture as a rich kid with glasses.
Do you know what? I actually woke up.
Get away, little Jules.
This actually happened to me last night. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Did you?
And I thought, you know what they should have had for a strapline for the previous Marvel movie? Finger clicking good. And then I went back to sleep.
There you go.
That's something
Piff.
that happened to me last night.
I believe, Piff, what you've just proven is that you're a genius.
No, I wish.
Did you wake up and write it down so you'd remember it in the morning?
No. I didn't need to, apparently.
Very safe.
Nice.
Very
I mean,
safe.
I remembered it without even that. Well, it was talking
I've heard
about
these
the movie.
talks of people waking up, writing things down in the morning so you have it. And every time I've done it, I've read it in the morning and been like, that's either nonsense or it's stupid.
Yeah. Well, they're going to end this gag with the roller coaster. That's why I bring the roller coaster on stage. God, that was killing me in my sleep last night. I thought that's the best ending ever. I just need a roller coaster. The audience will love this.
Well, Alfred Hitchcock tells a story of that where he was getting all these great ideas in his sleep and was forgetting them. So he put a pad of paper and a pencil by the side of his bed.
Yeah.
And he went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and by the side of his bed, the paper had been written on, and it said, "A man meets a woman." that was his film idea.
That's a relief to hear, because all you hear is these glorious stories, of like, oh my God, I have a song in my head. Quick, let me just write down this awesome hit.
But when you have those ideas, so do you get these ideas?
Yes.
Because I get them a lot, and I'm like, that is gold. I mean, that really is great.
That's what it feels like in the moment.
And then what I do is I repeat it to myself over and over again, so that I don't forget it. And I wake up, and usually I remember it, and I'm just going, what was I doing? I lost 2 hours over finger clicking good.
Keith Richards got himself one of the early tape recorders, right, which he had set to turn on when there was sound and turn off automatically, voice-activated tape recorder, which he kept by his bed. And he woke up one morning and saw that a lot of the tape had already run. So he said, "Oh, something must have happened," and he ran it back and played it again, and it was down, 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 and I can't get no satisfaction.
See, that story sells hope where there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I had a thing happen, and this only happened to me once, but I used to have in my bedroom at home when I was a child.
I think it just so happens that chords are awesome. So if you think of chords, you're going to make music. You have a much higher rate of success, I think.
Haven't they invented all the chords? Are there chords that don't exist yet and someone needs to make them up?
Pass.
As Alban Berg said, Alban Berg, one of the 12-tone masters of 20th century classical music, there's still a lot of music to be written in C major. I don't know what that means, but it seemed a little bit appropriate.
But are there any chords to be written in C major?
I believe you can still add chords, because the definition of a chord, I think, is just multiple tones at once. And the chord at the beginning of Hard Day's Night, that is they put in there's weird intervals in there that gives it power.
Yeah.
Power there. So don don da 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 da. And when I was in high school, I had a creative writing paper due, and it was due on Monday, and I promised myself I would do it on Sunday. And I had a typewriter in my room that I always had there, where I wrote my. I'm not able to read my own writing, so I began typing when I was 12 and did everything typing, and I went to bed with the idea very, very clearly of the story I wanted to write. And I thought about it all night and then woke up many too many hours later than I expected to on that Sunday morning. And I got up thinking, well, I got to write this story, but I got it all in my head at least. And I walked by the typewriter, and there, stacked by the side of the typewriter, was the story with the final page in the typewriter. And I read it over and went, good, I'm done.
Did you ever see those little elves?
No, I know. But I think what happened was not that I wrote it in my sleep, but I simply got up in the middle of the night, wrote it, and then forgot.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds much more likely. No, that definitely sounds more likely.
Yeah, it is. I think that's what happened.
Why would you forgot? How long does it take you to write all that stuff?
Probably took me 45 minutes.
And you forgot 45 minutes. Were you drinking a lot of the time?
No.
Because when I was drinking a lot, people would show me photos of things that I had no recollection of, and I would be in the photos, and that was very unnerving. And your story is far more unnerving than my story.
Yes, and I was stone cold sober.
Yeah, and 12.
But asleep. I wasn't 12 years old. I was probably 17.
Do you have maybe a vitamin deficiency? No, I don't know.
Honestly, I'm with the elves.
I was hoping. Well, there is the joke, about the screenwriter in. It's not a joke that I tell, but it's a joke about the screenwriter in L.A.
this morning.
who's struggling. He's struggling terribly, and a little leprechaun comes in and says, "I have an idea here for you." And he sits at the typewriter and types the whole thing out and gets it all done. And the guy looks at it and turns in the script, and it becomes this huge hit. And they do this over and over again. When you tell the joke properly, it's a Shaggy Dog story where you have to explain the leprechaun and all of this. And the guy just keeps saying, "What can I do for you?" Da, 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 da. And after he's had his 10th successful script, he says to the leprechaun, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And the leprechaun said, "Well, I was thinking maybe a slight idea buy or a slight end credit somewhere on the right." And he said, "Fuck you." That's the way that joke goes.
You remember that trick I did on Penn and Teller Flawless originally, the first one?
Sure.
That I dreamt that trick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I woke up. I had a dream.
Method.
And you woke up and we were sitting there going, "You didn't fool us."
No.
Do you just sleep through the actual performance, or just in thinking of it?
If you let me finish.
Okay. All of a sudden, we're what, on Fox News?
Oh wow, this is unbelievable.
I've never been treated like this.
This is disgusting. This is. If I had a lapel microphone, I would take it off, and toss it to the floor right now. No, I had a dream. No, just for the method. And this was like when I was in university. I was like, "Hey, I could stick cards together and cut them, and they might come apart, and nobody would know." Which is essentially how all magic works.
Now.
And it's not.
Yeah, because Penn told them.
But didn't Penn get it wrong on Penn Sunday? So didn't you just agree to be? Didn't you agree that you didn't fool them, even though you kind of did?
Oh, let's not bring facts into this conversation.
Speaking of bringing facts in, so we did this masterclass.
Can I just? I wanted to ask something. Hands up, who suggested that Penn and Teller should do a masterclass? Just, it can't just be me.
Did you suggest
cannot,
it? What do
you mean?
Yes, I did.
First point of order. I was letting it go in the original intro.
Yes.
Both you and Ready Rich take credit for telling Penn to get.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
it.
I'm sure everyone does.
To whom did you suggest?
Penn.
Okay.
Well, who else would I suggest it to?
That was my question.
Otherwise, there we go. Ready, Rich.
Ready Rich is into the room with his hand raised.
I think I've got the email. I'm going to find the email.
No, you don't need the email.
No,
we
I'm finding
believe
the
you.
email. No, I'm finding it. Look.
While he looks, you can actually talk. So you should just take advantage of this.
I've been
Masterclass.
watching a lot of that William Barr stuff, and I'm like super into, like strong lines of questioning now, backed up with empirical facts.
I would think you're super into auditioning for the made-for-TV movie.
You think he looks like Barr?
Oh, yeah, don't you?
I didn't notice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
this
raise
is
your hand if he
exciting.
looks like William Barr to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just let's be clear that raising hands is the worst thing to do on an audio podcast.
He started it.
Smack your mic as
Is there
your
going to
arm
be
goes
some
up.
Piff?
Mm-hmm.
Will there be a time during this we could talk about the masterclass, which is what we billboarded?
Possibly. It depends how you answer the following questions. No, all right. I'm busy anyway because I'm like looking at this email, so this could take years.
Okay.
We should probably stop and do an ad.
Okay, we're going to break in here and talk about Stamps.com. You know we all love Stamps.com. No one has time to go to the post office, except maybe Piff. You have time to go to the post office?
No.
So-
Why? What do you mean?
No one
maybe
does.
Piff?
You don't have any time to go to the post office.
No, I'm like hatching eggs and.
Stamps.com. You don't want to go with all that traffic, parking, lugging all your mail and packages. It's a real hassle. That's why you need Stamps.com, one of the most popular time-saving tools for small businesses. Stamps.com eliminates trips to the post office and saves you money with discounts that you can't even get at the post office, which I believe should be illegal.
I think it is.
I don't know why Stamps.com can sell cheaper than the post office. Seems wrong. You know, we all use it, right? You use it.
I use it all the time.
And what you do is you print out the postage on your computer with your printer.
What
right
computer
there.
do you use?
Use whatever computer you happen to have at home. Well, I have an iMac Pro.
Wow, that must print it out so fast.
So fast.
Oh, it must print it out before you even thought of printing it.
Sure. And with Stamps.com, cheaper than you can imagine because you spent all the money on the desktop.
That's why you need to save back and cut back, use Stamps.com to pay for your computing needs.
Exactly. And you will pay for it quickly because it saves you a lot of money. It's a no-brainer, saving you time and money. It's no wonder over 700,000 small businesses already use Stamps.com. Right now, our listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitments. Just go to Stamps.com. It's so good. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in
Piff.
No. Go to Stamps.com, click on the button on the top of the page, and type in
Sleepy Q?
No.
Oh, God damn it.
Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone on the top of the homepage, and type in.
Jeopardy theory says this is just not answered.
And just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone on the top of the homepage, and type in.
Pen. Let's get
Yeah,
this done.
that pen. Good.
Jesus.
That's Stamps.com. Enter pen. Enter pen. PENN. Stamps.com. Been with us since the radio days. They're the greatest. If you're not
favorite
using
sponsor.
Stamps.com now, start using it. Okay. So Teller was a little hesitant to do the Masterclass because Teller had always thought there was going to be, at some point, we would come out and do a huge Penn and Teller book video that really explained all our tricks and wrapped it all up and did all
Oh, that would be cool.
And
Like the Johnny book, but with Penn and Teller.
yeah,
Oh.
but
But no, what about?
well, we're still going to do that.
Okay.
But on the journey, we thought of doing a more general magic thing, and they send in. Masterclass people know what they're doing. We met the two people that were going to be directing it and producing it, and they came and, to their great credit, Johnny was in the room with us, Johnny Thompson, the great Johnny Thompson, and we all started talking about magic, and Johnny said stuff, and the directors went, we need Johnny in this too.
Just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Johnny is very heavily in this. Now, of all the people sitting here, there's one person who's seen the Masterclass, and that's Handsome Jack, who worked with us. Now, they were afraid that if we talked to Handsome Jack during this podcast, that maybe it would feel like we didn't do everything ourselves, which we didn't. Other people ran the cameras.
Yeah.
Other people talked, other people directed, other people did all sorts of things. And one of the things Handsome Jack did was he took ideas that he's heard us talk about over the years, took ideas that he's heard us talk about in the show, took ways that we were teaching how to do stuff, and he did a major draft of the final booklet that comes with the Masterclass, which then Teller went through and edited very carefully, even changed some pictures and so on.
Yeah.
So Handsome Jack did work on the project, and his words are in the booklet, and he did a wonderful job. Thank you, Handsome Jack.
Well, thank you.
And how much is Johnny in the Masterclass?
He is featured a couple of times. There is a card magic segment where you teach some people to do card tricks, and Johnny is there.
Just move when you turn it, Ben. That's it.
Oh, all right. Can I start over? Can we
Yeah.
edit this?
Yeah.
Johnny's featured in a couple of segments, largely in the card magic segment. There's a section where you're teaching students to do card tricks, and Johnny is basically the one that teaches how to do the card tricks, which is great. And he is also figured prominently in the, I think they call it the advanced student coaching, which features a couple other
He just changed that to Destroying the Hopes and Dreams of Matt Donnelly and Piff the Magic Dragon. That's the new title of that.
And one of the things, a lot of people, I announced on Twitter we were doing this, and we got asked if there was any obscenity in it, because children might be interested. Now, it is geared to adults, and the ideas in it are real magic ideas.
There's really sophisticated ideas in
Yeah.
there, for
Did
sure.
I ruin this? Did I F-bomb all the way through? or
No,
something?
I'm going to try to tell the story here.
Well, I'm just, all right.
Okay.
He's scared.
Find your email.
Okay.
Keep looking
Yeah,
for
good
the email.
idea, John.
Did you find the email?
You stay out of this.
Keep looking.
So they said, is it, because, we did bullshit for 8 years,
Yeah.
and we did fool us. So that is one of the more schizophrenic career things you could do.
Right.
It's like George Carlin being the voice of the train conductor on the.
Thomas the Tank.
It's like Louis C.K. doing his act and doing The Life of Pets.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's what everyone does these days.
I guess so. So we did both of those. Although Louis C.K. is a very bad example right about now, but we
But a good role model.
So they wanted to know which one. They wanted to know which way it went. So I told them there was no obscenity whatsoever in this, and then Masterclass corrected me and said there are 9 obscenities, and then they listed them, which made me really laugh out of context.
Oh, that's really funny.
Jive ass, shit, bullshit, jive ass. There's 9 of them, and they're all laid out like that. But there is no.
Is it beeped out in the series?
No, there's no fuck.
I just mean.
Oh no, it's not beeped out. You hear me say jive ass.
Yeah,
I think
So
I
if
say
you-
shit.
If you don't want your child to hear Penn Jillette say jive ass, don't buy the
Is that a
Masterclass.
swear word?
What about the opposite? What if all I want my kids to listen to is you saying jive ass?
Well, then we have bullshit for that.
Okay, good.
But I think if I were, when I was first studying magic as a Ute,
Yeah.
I would have gone crazy for this because it really is real ideas. It's not just pick things up, pretend to put them in your hand, and don't really do that. And someone also wrote and said they weren't interested in learning magic, they were interested in the ideas of magic. And I think if that's where you are, this is killer.
The majority of friends that I've spoken with are not people in magic who are maybe have taken a past master class and just simply like the deep dive. And I think a lot of people. I think honestly, a lot of people don't want to hear about magic unless it's you guys talking about it. It's the truth.
Yeah, who wants to hear about? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Well, that is the definite. That's one. That's a good selling point. I'm still looking at this. Can you stop it?
One of the great things about Penn and Teller and why I think people be interested in your perspective on magic is that you guys don't leave wanting people to think you have magical powers.
Yeah.
You guys don't want people to be like, oh my God, those guys just do stuff that humans do not do. Right. And that notion, and there are plenty of other magicians who follow that philosophy.
A lot of the street magicians, it's those guys do things that people in real life just don't do, like camera editing.
Or admitting to camera editing.
Yeah.
But no, you know what I mean? Like, I think so. Most of the people I know that were me, like, oh, I got to check this out, aren't magicians, but just simply like, I've been curious about magic. I've never known where to dive in. And now, oh, good. It's coming from these guys. Now I just want to learn about it.
You get it out of your system in one shot.
We tried to lay it out so that if you wanted to learn tricks, I believe you can watch this and probably with maybe a half an hour of monkeying around, you can actually do an acceptable trick that'll fool people.
Particularly the card tricks.
Yeah.
For sure. There are 3 card tricks. They're good, solid card tricks, and you can do them, with, like you say.
But even the mentalist thing, you can do that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pretty quickly. The rope stuff takes a little bit of dexterity and practice.
And
the
then
coin stuff does.
The coin stuff. And then there's a cup and ball routine, which, would take some practice as well.
And then we do the professional section where we actually work with.
Well, I mean, I don't think we should dwell on that. Now, listen, guys. I think one thing that I'm always frustrated with magic is like with comedy or with acting, or you can have interviews about behind the scenes of comedy, like comedians in cars getting coffee or whatever.
Right.
And you can't really do that in magic, so this is a nice chance for somebody to do that.
This is
with you
very
guys.
much behind, and we tried.
Dodge the bullet.
We tried to be very, very honest in the way we actually work.
Yeah.
When we brought in Piff,
Oh, God, why would you bring it back around? First of all, let me say my first mistake was the last time I was on this podcast was with Johnny.
yeah,
And I got Johnny all hopped up on a Starbucks Frappuccino and delivered him to you.
yes, you did.
I was not allowed to interact with Johnny before Masterclass. Had I been able to, he would have been all hopped up on a Starbucks Frappuccino during that, and it would have gone a lot better. Now, I work with
Johnny was really good during that.
No, I will tell you what happened.
Okay.
I will tell you very clearly what happened. I worked with you on your act for a year.
Yes, you did.
and contributed very, 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 very little. However, I was a witness to your process, which is basically you tear everything apart until you have nothing, and then maybe you rebuild it. But sometimes when you put it back together and you realize you had less than what you had when you even started, so then you just move on to something else.
That's correct.
And Johnny is a part of that process.
Yep.
And when Johnny is a part of that process, he's doing the tearing.
Yes.
You know, it's not Frappuccino Johnny. It's not, Cheeto Dust Johnny. It's, we got to take this idea and tear it apart. Now, I thought there's no way they're going to want to show that on camera. Surely, when I come in, they will do a TV version of the Penn and Teller rehearsal process.
We do the Penn and Teller rehearsal process exactly like we do it.
The three of you did the Penn and Teller rehearsal process exactly, which is you bring an idea to the group, and three of the greatest minds in magic who have ever lived stare at your idea until it withers, dies, and regrets being born in the first place. Look, we all know how wonderful Johnny is, but we also all know if you bring an idea to Johnny that is terrible, Johnny will crush it like the hopes and dreams of small children. Because that's what needs to happen.
Yes. Well, that was one of the things, and this is another one of those things that it's hard to mention and talk about because what came out of this was such a nightmare. But Celebrity Apprentice,
Right.
before it destroyed our country, when it was just a television show, one of the things everybody argued with me about was that I did not know how to collaborate with people.
Yeah.
Now, I had more experience collaborating than anyone else that has ever been on that show.
Yeah.
No one has had a more successful collaboration than me. Any way you measure it. Longer, any way you want to measure it, more successful collaboration. So I know how to work in a team.
Looking
But
at you, Brooks and
unfortunately-
Dunn.
What's that?
So looking at you, Brooks and Dunn.
Yes, exactly. but I know how to collaborate in Penn and Teller. And the way we work very clearly is trying to find every flaw in every idea. We do not do yes and. We do no but. We try to tear it down because if we're barking up the wrong tree, we want to know right away. So the Masterclass people watched us work a little bit and then said, we'd like to see this real thing really happen in real time, no kidding. So can you get us a lot of cameras around, and can you find two people at two different stages of magic that can come in with new tricks, and can you really work the way you really absolutely work? And we said, sure. And Matt, you were beginning in magic?
Yep.
Very early in your magic career.
Yeah.
And Piff was very successful and established and a real, honest-to-goodness working pro by any definition. So we asked Piff if he would kindly come in to Masterclass and bring us a piece of magic that we could talk about with
I
him.
didn't realize how kind I was being.
And how was it, Piff?
Well, first of all, when you're in any sort, working on magic is like, you go up in like incremental. I go up in incremental steps. It's not a curve or a straight line. It's like it's nothing but pain, and then suddenly out of nowhere comes an idea that like gets you on the right path, and then maybe you have a very quick jump to the next stage. And so the idea that we would manage to capture one of those jumps on camera was, I was like, well, that's not going to happen. But what actually happened was that, and like you say, you don't want to bark up the wrong tree. And I've been barking up the wrong tree with a routine for about 2 years, and it wasn't going anywhere. And then on the day that we did the Masterclass special, we had this Bluetooth turban that would sit on the dog's head that would talk, and it just took a massive shit and just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. So I was there with nothing really, just kind of awkward. And I was faced with the cold stare of Penn, Teller, and Johnny all in rehearsal mode.
I'm trying to remember what city we were together. I was opening for you
in Orlando. We were doing Orlando Improv.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
We cancelled Thursday so we could do Masterclass.
Oh no, but I was also with you when we found out we could do that we were invited to do the Masterclass.
Oh, probably, yeah.
And then you and I were just discussing like, I was going like, what are you going to do? What are you going to bring to them? What are you going to bring to them?
Well, yeah, but we would. At no point in that period did we ever think that we would be going into a full-on Penn Teller, brutal
shooting match.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like Mortal Kombat 11 just came out. You know, when they have all the fatalities.
Yeah.
It's just like every time you send an idea up, it's like fatality. Fatality.
It actually made me wish I brought my strongest stuff. I actually brought in something I actually was struggling with, and then
Stronger stuff. But here's the thing: I mean like stuff that I've been doing for years and years and years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put in front of that Penn and Teller rehearsal machine.
but that's no. I still have the as a beginner. I still know that my strongest stuff could probably be a lot better. So I think I would have at least not almost passed out had I brought in something stronger.
Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about this for a second, Matt.
Yeah.
After Piff did his, we
Yes.
did this the same day.
Did the same day, and I watched Piff's session.
Uh-huh. And what did you think watching Piff's session?
I'm dead. I wish I went first.
Now, you came out with something you were
You know,
just
one time
starting.
I brought in both of my children. They were like 2 and 4 years old for allergy testing, and I brought in my 2 kids into the room, and in walked this giant nurse, your size but twice as wide, Penn, and they literally walked in, looked at the 2 children, and wrote, "You're by yourself?" I said, "Yup," and then he looked at me and goes, "Huh. Who do you want to go first?" And I was like, "Oh no!" And what I found at the end of that is that there was no right answer. That both kids just were torturous and then crying for the other child the entire time. I felt like I was weeping for.
Yeah. And then I left immediately and went to Florida because I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch this terrible thing happen to a friend of mine. And the other thing, do you remember when we did Finn and Teller on Fool Us?
Sure.
And so the first rehearsal we had for Finn and Teller, I brought
Finn and Teller is a trick where Piff has trained the fish to be one of us, and it's Penn and Teller. I do the voice of the fish.
Yeah.
It was
The
a trick
fish
we
reads
did on Fool
minds.
Us.
The fish reads minds.
Yeah, and at the end of the trick, in my stage show, the fish would get accidentally blended off stage. They'd come in with a jug full of orange juice, and then I would do a trick called Molto in Parvo, which I love, which is small like you have 5 glasses in ever-decreasing sizes, and you pour the orange juice into the small one, and then it fills the bigger, then the bigger, then the bigger, then the bigger one. I showed Teller a video of this in rehearsal, in a private, closed-off rehearsal.
Safe space.
And watching Teller's eyes is an experience I never want to have again. And then I did. And it was videotaped. And it's just recently been broadcast.
No.
And those of you listening can pay for it to see that page
Oh, God.
right there in person.
There is nothing worse than seeing what Teller actually thinks of your act.
Well, that's
There's
what
nothing
you
worse.
said to me, that although you used to be a fundamentalist Christian, you still had one very strong prayer you gave every night, which was, "Oh God, please let me never know what Teller really thinks of me."
Correct. That is absolutely correct.
Teller without talking can destroy you, just with how he looks at your trick. You know, he has the thing where he can like smile, like, "I know you and I like you. I don't know where this is going and I don't approve yet."
I like the
He
fact
has
that
it in
you
one
even-
look. He has that in one look.
I just think I look at it as I know you. That's what I see. And then, of course, there's this gaping silence into which you pour a chasm of words, and they all and then you might. Oh God, it's the worst. It's the worst. So we captured that for all of time.
I mean, definitely. I came in with a trick that I actually was struggling with. It was a trick that Johnny gave me.
Now, you said, though, how much exaggeration was in "you almost fainted"?
None. I really thought I was going to pass out. I can't point to another experience of my life where I thought I was going to pass out standing up. from besides like a sickness or something.
Just from Teller's glare.
Just from no,
It's
because
not a glare. It's the full beam of truth.
it's the full beam of truth. And Teller was talking in this.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, Teller was the most sympathetic voice in that session.
Yes. That's another point that needs
Johnny
raising.
and Penn were much harder on me.
Frappuccino Johnny was long forgotten. This was cold brew Johnny.
I had to go off with my friend RJ, who helps me with magic. We had to go off for like a couple of hours after that was over to really just figure out how I actually felt. But no, so I go in. I brushed up on the routine for 2 days. Not a lot of days, but it was a routine that Johnny taught me that was too complicated for me when I first started in magic. He gave me the trick. I kept doing it. RJ was working with me in magic, and we had at the time, 8 people were teaching me tricks, and RJ said, cut that one. It's not happening for you. Just focus on the other stuff. And so I put it away. And then all of a sudden this came up, and I was like, oh, okay. Johnny actually gave me his physical chop cup, and I want to, and he's going to be in the session. I can work on it, and why not have it on tape of Johnny working on me with this again, And I came in, and the rehearsal, they bring me in, and the director's like, oh, okay, what are you going to do? And I was like, oh, let me just show it to you. I'll just practice right now. And so I did it out in the hallway on a table for the director and like 3 people in the crew, and it crushed. And that's when I knew I was fucking doomed. Because if you're in theater, anytime you crush the dress rehearsal, it is doomed for the show. It is doomed for the show. I should have just thrown my fruit all over the place. And I went out there, and all of a sudden, it just seemed fun. And I was like, you've been working on this. You've done it, 50 times in the last 2 days. You've done it with people looking at it. Johnny's the one who taught it to you. Just go out and do it. And then all of a sudden, when I'm mic'd up, I'm there. The whole room settles. The room gets very quiet. And it's so still, and I just go oh, this is going to go bad.
They actually made a movie of this, Matt. It's called Bambi. What you described is Bambi and your mother being shot in front of you. That is what you just described. Oh, God.
I go to do it, and Teller gives me the look right away at my first magic movie. Just gives me the look oh, jeez. And then Johnny gets up.
Which wasn't even really a move. It's just basically you picking something up.
Picking something up, yeah. To pick up something in a way that wasn't just putting all of the heat in the world on it. And I put all the heat in the world on it. But Teller just laughed, basically. It's like someone who doesn't have children, but has to hear a 4-year-old get something wrong, but it's like their nephew. And they're like, how do I talk to this creature? Yeah. That's what Teller looked like for me, trying to get the apple out of my pocket.
Now, you've watched this. How brutal is it to watch?
Oh, it...
Oh, God. Wow. No, oh, that's bullshit.
Before he answers, let me just tell you something else. I got a tweet from a total stranger who had watched it, found me on Twitter, and told me I was brave. That's how bad it went.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go out there to be brave.
Every time I appear on television, I do not follow the Penn Teller example of never watching myself. I watch it once, so I know how good or how bad it is.
Yeah.
And when I did America's Got Talent, they had the pre-recorded version and they had the live rounds. And every time I would do the live rounds, I'm like, oh, God, that is horrible. That's just hard because it's so difficult to do. This, I got 5 minutes in and turned it off. Never in my life. Never in my life have I done that. I've always been I need to know the facts. This one, nope, don't need to know those facts.
So, Handsome Jack?
Well, it's pretty brutal. He's doing a trick.
We're never gonna see it. Why don't you just make it up? I'm right. Just pretend it's
I
good.
bought it.
I'm talking about him. About him. You were great.
I'm going to see it.
Oh no.
You were doing a trick that was kind of above your pay grade at that point.
Yeah.
And so you flashed as horribly as anybody ever doing that trick has ever flashed.
Oh my God.
And that first moment is you picking up a ball.
Yeah.
Like no human being has ever held an object in his life.
I was going for a T-Rex. Maybe that's why. It was everything felt foreign to me immediately. And you hear that magicians have to practice things hundreds and hundreds of times, if not 1,000 times. And I done it, like I said, probably 50 times heading into that thing. And as soon as I began to do it in front of you, I was like, not enough. Yeah. Not enough time.
Well, also, it's an artificial... It was a very strange performing setup as well.
And part of it was not just that you didn't have the technical skill and the sleight of hand. You were just doing...
You also sucked personally?
Wait a minute.
There's no...
Where's this going?
No charm, no personality. No. What is you just... That's not true.
good Lord.
You made fundamental errors that, at that level you wouldn't know. Like the fruit was way too big.
Yeah.
And you were working out of your back pocket rather than a jacket pocket. So things like that.
I give you my jacket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And
big
so you're
moment where you hand me
And
your
you're like, what do you do? Why are you digging around in your back pocket? What's that all about? And
That was where I almost passed out.
Yeah.
Was the jacket exchange, for real. It was like you went into the jacket and suddenly, like, the jacket went on and Teller, like, looked at, like, oh, that looks nice. Johnny was looking at me like, let's get to work. And I felt like this moment where, like, the whole camera crew was like, we have our moment. Like, it felt like the whole production was like that. And I was like, and suddenly I realized, like, oh, this is great for the Masterclass and bad for me.
Yeah.
That's what I realized in that moment. You put your jacket on me, and I really like. And there's some technical thing happened. They had to quickly reset something right after you put the jacket on me. And in that moment, I literally like turned around, like 360, look at like the room. Moxie and Emily were out in the audience. As you know, I feel a bond with Moxie because we started performing magic at the same time. And I literally just go like, a lot is going on, and I felt my head get cold and tingly, and my shoulders get tingly, and I was like, oh my god! And I literally go like, Matt, I literally was like, Matt, you cannot pass out. You cannot pass out, because what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pass out, and I'm gonna wake up. It's only gonna be like a minute later, and I'm like, can you still go? So,
You know what they should have done for you? They should have videoed you performing it to the director,
oh yeah,
and then done fit because I didn't have to perform a trick because when I took my idea in, and my idea wasn't performable, and that was why I brought it in. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with this, and it's like a clusterfuck. Whereas you had a thing, and then you have to perform it in front of these three monsters.
yes,
These
and also
three Penn Teller, Johnny in rehearsal mode monsters.
well, that's it. And
Just
Johnny
horrifying.
performing Johnny's trick,
Oh God.
and Johnny being like, you just told everyone this is my trick. So Johnny's like up first. He's out of his seat first, and like getting on me because he's like, "You're not." It's like you're not telling people.
Yeah. He said, "Move over, move over."
It's like as if somebody off the street was like, "Hey, I'm going to tell you my Donnelly jokes. You guys want to hear them?" I'd be like, whoa.
That's so true.
Yeah, he was like, wait, "This is not me." Hold on a second.
Do you remember the last time? And again, the last time we were here at the podcast,
Yeah.
Johnny was showing us how to palm a card.
Yep.
Now, I've been a magician for, I don't know, 25 years maybe. I've spent 24 of those years palming cards. I can't palm a card like I mean, Johnny wasn't even palming a card.
3 times.
He was holding the deck,
Yep.
and then he had a card in his hand somewhere. He was not palming a card.
Yeah.
The idea of going in to that performance thing saying, I'm going to do Johnny's trick. Oh, my God. They should have shot you doing it for the director.
That's what they wanted to do. I mean, to give you a little bit of the backstory here, okay? They said, it's called...
Can you fuck up Matt's life entirely? That's what they said.
Yes, they said, yeah.
They said this is called Masterclass. So we certainly want, this is one of the reasons we're so excited about doing it.
Yeah.
We certainly want simple stuff. We want people to see magic and be encouraged and be able to do it. But we also want to show how far you can go and how deep you can go. So they said to us, can you really get into the real mode of really working?
Yeah.
No kidding, working. And we said yes. So we were out there to prove to the Masterclass people that we would not pull punches. And it's nice to hear that you don't feel we did.
Now, Matt, when you got the email that said, hey, Matt, do you want to come to rehearsal where we will pull no punches? Where we will destroy your act like we would our own.
No, I mean, like I've just not outside of magic, just auditioning as an actor. I've just been in the room where it just doesn't go right in your brain. You just your communication in your brain, your body just doesn't work like it always does. And so I was upset with my performance for sure, but in no way did I feel like it was anybody else's fault but my own in that. You know, what's tough about the opportunity is that for me, I've been touring with Piff for a while now and feeling good in comedy clubs and just working on the same tricks over and over again and just getting and really finding those nice little layers that all magicians talk about where you do something 100, 200 times and also it starts to open up different things and loving that, and then getting this opportunity. This is for me, the biggest piece of media I could ever be that I've been up into this point. So part of me still has that nugget in the back of my head that weighing like this can make people curious about me in some way. leaving, being like, or not. You know, or not. And I just had to accept that for what it is. And then like the Masterclass people were thrilled with me, which only confirmed my feeling. Right? But then at the end of the day, you know, like I said, it took me hours to kind of defrag with RJ. And then at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? That intensity, like if how many people would just absolutely kill to get a half hour, an hour in front of Johnny Thompson, Penn and Teller, and have them go at their tricks. It was an unbelievable thing. And I said, and honestly, speaking now, it's crazier because it did hit me that at the end of dinner, I literally turned to RJ at the end and I said, you know what? I'm a fucking asshole. And he was like, why? I was like, because at the end of the day, I have amazing footage, like amazing, the budget on this thing, the well-shot footage of this masterclass, of amazing footage of me working with Penn, Teller, and Johnny Thompson forever. And holy shit, that's fucking amazing.
Now, Handsome Jack, you teach a magic class at
USC.
USC, and you work with students all the time.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons we were so excited to bring Handsome Jack in, because you are the one. Teller and I have a lot of experience in magic, but we don't have a lot of experience with teaching magic.
Yeah.
So how do you think the Masterclass people did on putting that together for really teaching magic? And on top of that, we've talked about all of this from the inside of Matt Donnelly, but watching as someone with an interest in magic and trying to learn about it, how informative do you think the Matt Donnelly fiasco is?
I was hoping for segment, but fiasco is fine.
Fiasco is the best you can hope for, I believe.
Well, you know, making people not want to take up magic as a hobby is a valuable service. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I ran into Lovick, and I didn't know he was working on this. And then he told me he was, because he wanted me to correct something he wrote in my bio line. And I go, "Oh, you're working on it?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "How bad is it?" And he goes, "Well, let me demonstrate your palming." And I had my wireless headphones sitting next to my computer, and he just reached up and just threw them like across the room.
Well, I will say, though, that, you know, like I say, I brought something that had no legs on it, so I couldn't perform. Thank God. Thank God. And I ran through it, and, you know, you, the three of you, just reduced it to rubble. Oh, wait, hang on. Has John got... No?
Oh, I was going to ask a question when you know, if there was going to be a natural pause in the conversation.
There wasn't, which is why I paused for you.
This
is your moment, by the way.
I was politely waiting for you to finish.
Well, but you sort of half started a word, so I was like, well, maybe this is important. I now regret it.
Do you have a thought to finish?
Yeah, I have a whole... I didn't start. I didn't... I haven't even finished.
Then I will once again wait here politely for you to finish.
Okay, good idea. How do I turn down my headphones?
I turned down your headphones.
Oh, who put you in charge of this? Really? This is what happens?
How's that? Is that better?
You weren't here.
Then stop
I
complaining.
can't hear anything.
Okay. Wait, let me just tell you this. You've heard...
No, I haven't heard anything.
No, be quiet.
All right. Just say I can't hear.
If you're going to be deaf, also be dumb.
Okay, I'm ready.
You've heard me... I'm going to do an ad for something I actually use, which is surprising. No, I actually use some of the stuff, but some I've used before. But this one I started using before we started doing ads for.
That's right. They're doing ads because we liked them so much.
Yeah, they came to us because of that. You probably heard me yapping about my weight loss, and we hope you've read my book Presto. And if you did, the weirdo name Withings is familiar. You know what Withings stands for?
Is it an acronym?
No, it's not. It's kind of it's a weird thing. It stands for
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Withings stands for wireless
Wi-Fi things.
Wi-Fi things.
Wi-Fi things.
Wi-Fi things.
Why isn't it Whiffy things?
It's Withings, so shut up. That's why. To you, basically, if you are looking to lose weight, keeping track with an advanced smart scale can help, and you can get 25% off of Withings Body Cardio. Body Cardio is what I use. I love it, love it, love it. Right now with the coupon code PENPAL25. That's 2 N's there. PENNPAL25. Go to withings.com, WITHINGS.com, and get 25% off Body Cardio. Body Cardio is their fanciest, schmanciest Wi-Fi scale, and you can get it for 25% off right now with promo code PENPAL25. That's PENNPAL25. This offer is exclusively for Sunday school listeners because they like us. So go to withings.com, pick out a Body Cardio scale, and use code PENPAL25.
And now I have so anyway, we reduced the routine to rubble. And the fundamental problem, I would say, with the routine was that I thought it was hilarious that a dog would talk, and you all thought it was a terrible idea to have the dog talking. What didn't you say?
Yes.
In a nutshell. Now, because I was still sticking to my guns on the dog talking, I happened to mention that I had a dog ventriloquist puppet being made.
Yeah.
And Penn, like, there was a guy the other day in a basketball game, and he shot like a 3-point thing off like the halfway court line and won the game. And he had the same look in your eye that you did at this moment.
This is very true. This is definitely worth describing.
I saw Penn perk up like he could see victory in sight, and he said, "Wait a minute," and the room fell silent. Johnny could smell the Frappuccino coming closer to him. And Penn said, what if the whole thing was that the dog was talking to you, but you would then relay it to the audience, which we'd already established. And the reason for that was because you can't give a dog a microphone. And why can't you give a dog a microphone? Because the dog then starts singing karaoke. And I was like, oh my God, that is a bajillion-dollar idea, where a bajillion dollars is an unquantifiable number of dollars because you don't know how many shows you're going to use it for. That is a bajillion-dollar idea. That is the perfect end. And just 2 days ago, the ventriloquist puppet was finished. And can you put pictures up on this?
He will. He'll put it up.
So we can put this up. And this is Mr. Piffles, the
my God.
ventriloquist dog. And not only that, but I have another picture of him with a microphone. And let me tell you, even if it had been, I just watched Polar. You know, the new movie with like Mad Mickelson or whatever his name is. Yeah. It was terrible. I thought I read a good review of it, watched it. It was so bad I went back and it was a 1-star review, which was like, this is the worst film you'll ever see in your life. But there's a scene where he gets tortured for 4 days with a guy just like clipping him with some pliers. And that was the equivalent of Masterclass. It was having Matt Lucas just clipping me with some pliers for 4 days. But at the end of it, we came up with this idea, and I was like, that was all worth it. I'm now going to show Mr. Piffles with his microphone. And you know who this is? This is Damian James. He was on Flawless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was. I love those Penn Teller puppets so much that I got in touch with him and he made this. Look, there we go. It's Mr. Piffles with a microphone. Hey, Matt, can you pass it around to Godot and he can show it to the camera?
Yeah, that camera right there.
Reddy just said it was this camera just there.
The camera right there.
Yeah.
That one right there.
This one. The camera.
Camera.
Yeah.
Well, this is the comedy.
This was far more complicated than I ever imagined. Did anyone see that happening? Got it. There we go. And so that routine, we're going to start working on it in that'll be in next week, I think.
Video?
Is that a video?
Ah, Jesus.
It's a photo.
There it is. He's got it.
You know, it's just showing a bunch of your photos to you.
Yeah.
Just paging right through.
Who'd have thought Jade could do that? Yeah.
We all thought Jade could do that.
Lovick just signed his death warrant. All right.
So you were going to ask a question.
Well, my question was going to be, when are you going to start working on that routine? Which you just answered.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
So, my question was, because at the end of this, you had this disastrous idea that you couldn't even perform for them. You just sort of described it. And then they came to this.
Sorry, what was the start of that conversation? I had a what? Oh yeah, because it literally didn't work.
You literally
didn't work.
So you couldn't perform it for them to evaluate. But you sort of described it, and they said, "Well, this is dumb and that's terrible." But if you thought of this, and you finally got to the point where it was an interesting idea, and my question was, have you started working on that interesting idea yet or not? And where are you now?
My idea is just take, that took 7 months for him to make that puppet. 7 months. So yeah, everything's just ready to go now.
And Matt Donnelly, have you continued to work on that trick since then?
I have, actually. I performed it. I did 3 shows in Florida last month, and I did Chop Cup at all of them.
Are you doing it this weekend?
I can.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll do Chop Cup this weekend. We're going to the. Well, actually, as you hear this, we will have
already
just
been,
performed.
so I don't
at the
even
Santa
know.
Star.
Yeah.
But I'll do it. I think.
Oh, great! I want to see it.
Yeah, because it works well in a bar. Like it's a nice bar trick.
We're not performing in a bar, man.
Oh no, comedy club. I meant comedy club environment.
It works well in the basement, for 7 people. No, it's a good one.
Some of the theaters I played with you, I wouldn't do it in the theater just because of how small it is.
But
But if there's an IMAG or whatever,
there's an iBank. Yeah.
okay. But yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, because when I do it well, it really gets a huge reaction.
Well, the great thing is you are now going to have people, because the Masterclass thing, people seem to be liking it. It's doing well. You're going to have people see you do the Chop Cup after having seen you on the Masterclass working with us on it.
Right, and that was something I at least understood as my only way to pull a real victory out of this. And I've tried to tape it a couple times, and the times I've taped it, it has not gone as well as the times I've done it without taping. You know how that goes. So I just got to keep doing it until I can just do it cold in front of a camera.
You know what you're going to be? You're going to be the equivalent of that thing where, there are all these stories in magic. Oh, the master magician gave away the linking rings, and then the next night, so-and-so performed it and fooled the room. You're like that, but with you, and then you doing it.
He must have come up with a new method. I didn't catch him at all.
But yeah, I will do it. I did switch to smaller fruit, which does make things easier. I did switch the clothing, on which a big thing that transitioned from Masterclass, because Masterclass caught me at a weird time too. I was doing magic in character up until about 2 months before Masterclass. And then I was trying to perform my own, and I didn't know whether to keep overalls as my thing or not. And what Penn says he doesn't create with Yes And, I do create with Yes and the challenge of that is that people tell you conflicting ideas, you try to hold on to them all. Penn and Godot were very adamant about me stop performing as a character and perform as myself. Piff said, "You're crazy if you stop wearing overalls. You're the only guy wearing overalls. Trust me."
And he listened to the guy in a dragon outfit.
So, speaking of Chop Cups, I've got my own Chop Cup story. This happened I'm performing at the Magic Castle this week.
It's always about you, isn't it?
For like the first time. It's the first time you spoke.
God, John.
Can you believe it?
He tried to tell one fact about himself, and we just hosed him.
Yeah.
All right, John, what do you want to say? I'm about to interrupt in 3 seconds.
So
that was the end of that episode, right, Penn?
And that's all the time we have.
So I'm performing at the Magic Castle this week, and Randy Pitchford came and saw my first show last night, in which, as like one sequence in a larger routine, I do a quick Chop Cup thing, where a ball is supposed to appear under a cup, but it's not really a Chop Cup routine. But a ball is supposed to appear under a cup. Ball did not appear because I make my own Chop Cups, and mine broke the night before, so I pulled in my backup Chop Cup. Well, it's different than the other one, but I thought I'd made it identical. So the ball did not appear under the cup, and that's the end of the routine. It's the third phase of a 3-phase end of the routine. And I said, hey, let me try that again. Didn't happen again. And I went, well, that would have been fun. And then during my next routine, woman just gets up, walks right out of the room. And then in my last routine, a guy vomits all over himself.
Oh, no.
And so this morning...
Was he being taught a magic trick by Penn Teller and Johnny Thompson?
So this morning, I get a text from Christy Pitchford, Randy's wife, and she goes, all my favorite things happened in your show last night. She said, you had the trifecta. Fucked up a trick, women walking out, and people vomiting.
Good. So there's still hope.
Well, last night I had a guy on stage, very nice fellow, who talked to me after the show, and I was telling him to sort the cards so I can do the thing I call trust, right? So I said, sort the deck. And he was holding the fan out and he was moving the cards. As I walk over to the juggling segment, I could look over their shoulder, and I saw they weren't even sorted by color. So I came back and said, are you sorting the cards? And he said, yes. So you're putting them in order? He went, yes. I went, okay.
By height.
Do you know what the word sort means? He said, no. I said, you put all the like things together? He went, trying my best. And I said, well,
No.
you're trying, but you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, he got his own masterclass.
I said, do you think maybe we should get someone else up to help out? He went, yes.
Oh, wow.
It was just, and then after the show, he came back and said, I thought maybe I ruined your trick. I said, no, the trick went very well once we got you off stage.
I just sent it to you this morning. There is a clip. There's a new show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave Now.
Yeah.
And there was a sketch with a magician where this guy goes on stage and the guy's doing a SpongeBob routine to him. And the whole audience is laughing, he's laughing along with it, and the guy's like doing all these jokes with him, and he comes back and his wife won't look at him, drives home, his wife won't look at him, goes to bed, his wife won't talk to him, and she just, he turns off the light, and he's like, God, I had such a great night, I loved that guy was hilarious. There's a beat, and the light flicks back on, and the woman just goes, why would you let him talk to you like that? Why would you let him talk to you like that? And he's like, what? And he's like, he humiliated you in front of all these people. And she basically just leaves him over this. She can never look at him again the same.
You're saying this would happen to the guy at Penn Teller?
No, that's the danger of it. I mean, look, I do that to people all the time, I'm sure, but it's it's the horrible thing of magic when people. The other day I had the ultimate example of this. I got a kid on stage. He was, he was going to help with the Rubik's Cube trick, and I'm talking, and I look away, and I look back, and my dog is now flying through the air, 15 feet in the air, and the kid has thrown Mr. Piffles into the audience. He's just thrown the dog into the audience. And the woman on the front row stands up. She reaches above her head. The dog is going, behind her. She reaches behind her head now. She catches Mr. Piffles like a human child. She pulls him out of the air, sits back down with the dog on her lap, and there is just silence in the room. There is silence in the room. And I walk over to her and I say, did you just catch the dog? Now she did, because she's holding a dog, and she wasn't momentarily before holding a dog. And she said, yes. And I said, obviously, I cannot thank you enough. And Jade said to the kid, you need to go back to your seat now. And the audience was about to lynch that child. And I said, oh, I'm sure you just didn't understand what you were meant to do, right? To give the kids some sort of escape route.
Here's your out.
Because otherwise, it's just like him being torn apart like a Penn Teller Masterclass. It was, and they just sat there and I, carried on the show, and Jade and I were in shot for 3 days. But it is like, when you get people up on stage, you're putting them into this banana situation.
Well, I try, I don't ever do any of that insulting of the audience members. That's why when it does go south, which is rare, it's worse.
Yes.
Because it's not like Penn's being funny.
Because it could still happen.
But I want to get back to this guy who didn't know what the word sort means.
He's getting a masterclass on that.
I think perhaps he was very, very frightened to be on stage.
Right.
Okay.
And there might have also been some chemicals involved. I'm not sure.
All right.
So this thing is like, you're just bringing these people up. And I remember when I was like 18, going to a magic convention, I guess 18, maybe even, 18, 19, going to a magic convention. There was a magician on stage. I thought he asked me to bring a prop on stage, and I went to do it. And then he looked at me like, what do you think you're doing? And like in front of all these people, and I felt like huge shame. And I'm just like, God, I probably do that like 3 times a night to people. It's the worst.
We try really hard not to do it.
I
but
try
it-
really hard not to do it, but it happens.
That's your whole shtick.
Your
though. whole
your
shtick
show is based on
You're like,
torturing
put it here,
people when
put it
they
here,
come
put it there,
up.
there, on the table, put it there, put it down, put it down. It's in your hand, put it on the table.
That was a perfect impersonation of Piff.
Yeah.
You do no longer need to see my act. If you ever wonder what Piff the Magic Dragon does, love it, just crushed it. No, that's true. And then I always my rule is I try and make them leave a hero.
Yeah.
But often they ruin that for themselves. Often there's nothing I can do.
But your suffering is the source of your comedy. on
Yeah,
stage.
and I'm always trying to be lower than them and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and justify it because I don't think it is justifiable. I honestly don't.
I got carried away in a show I did recently where I always say you can make fun of the situation, but not the person.
Right.
You know? So if you feel that kind of powder keg building and you're getting laughs out of it, fine. And I got carried away when I told him to choose a big word for a book test, and he chose like a tiny word. He chose the word whale. And I was like, whale is a big word to you? And then the audience roared. And so I was like, I got really carried away, broke my rule, and I was like, have fun. Tell you when you're teaching gym Monday morning, tell all the kids whale is a big word. All right? He was a gym teacher. He's like, I am a gym teacher. And I was like, great.
What?
He was a gym teacher.
You didn't know he was a gym teacher?
No.
And you said gym teacher?
Yes.
So you just did the hugest miracle of psychic phenomenon ever. And you didn't take credit for it?
Man, it did not feel like
Let's
it.
get you back in that masterclass room.
Time machine.
Tell you how to take credit for something.
When a grown man is weeping at the mocking of his profession, that is the ultimate time to be high-fiving an audience. And that's what people do. You know that spike trick that people get, where they get wrong?
Oh, the hand spike.
sure.
I've seen a guy take his bow after stabbing an audience members, which is the equivalent of what you should have done.
Ta-da.
We're going to talk more on Wednesday about Masterclass and some of the stuff that wasn't just a horrible nightmare. But that was Penn Sunday School.
That was Penn Sunday School.
Cha-cha-cha.
And to our listening ears,
You become naked.
all nature sang and round us rang the music of the spheres. And was Penn Sunday
It's also nice to talk about Johnny just real and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just-
Yeah.
We're entering that phase kind of. And all the stuff we said at the memorial about how his memory would go on, it's kind of nice to just have proof of that.
Yeah.
Frappuccino Johnny.
Frappuccino Johnny. We love you.